Hello and welcome to another Domo Solutions live stream. Although our good friend Simone here says, can't wait for Scott to knock this webinar out of the park. I struggle with the word webinar a little bit, Scott. I like to call these live streams as, you know, we're not necessarily, I always think webinars are so sales focused and a lot of these are so driven towards making sure the community feels supported and we're giving them content that makes sense to them. And that's kind of what we've done with these solution focused series with your team on just mastering, you know, some of those skills. So today we're going to have another one of those mastering sessions, specifically talking about self-service analytics on and through your data warehouse. Now, Scott is a newcomer to the live stream. Scott, I don't believe you've ever been on one of these before. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the first time. Happy to be here.
I love it. I love it. Scott's a sales engineer with us here at Domo, and he's going to really try to talk to all of us today about you know, what it takes to access, prepare, leverage their data in their warehouse, and really kind of see those impactful business insights and maybe building some building some of those impactful, powerful apps. And we're really excited about that as well. So if you are joining us, please let us know where you're from and how you got here today, what you're excited about, maybe some questions for Scott. That all happens in the chat and comment section of all of these live streams. I will say, Scott, you have a bit of an army with you today, with your team. Laura, Tanner, Colt, Mega, they're all in the background, ready to answer all of your questions. So, you know, Laura's already here saying Scott's ready to knock it out of the park. Mega giving you some encouragement. And my good friend from the community, Mark Snodgrass, enjoying the live stream from Oregon. Thank you, Mark, for always being here. Amit from New Jersey, PJ from Maine. We've got Adam from Long Island, Terry from Minnesota, Juan. I missed you, Juan. There you are, saying hi, Scott. Catherine from Massachusetts. So again, please let us know where you're from and what you're excited about today. We're excited to see all of you as always. But I get to do what I normally do, which is to get out of the way and let Scott do all of the driving and prepare us for this really cool presentation. But Scott, thanks again for where are you joining from, Scott? Maybe I'm curious about that. I don't think I know where you're from.
I'm joining from Domo HQ in American Fork.
So. Nice, nice. How's the weather out in Utah? Fairly okay? Are we dealing with any Canadian smoke-filled fires these days? I know that's typically a thing.
It's pretty clear.
Nice.
Pretty sunny. Nice and warm.
Yep, it's that time of year. Shelly from San Francisco, thanks for joining. Jessica from Illinois. So we've got a crew today. Lots of people joining. Hundreds of you that have basically signed on to these solutions webinars that we've been doing. Sorry, now you've got me saying it. Solutions live streams. If you've joined us for the ACE live streams, and we're getting ready to do an entire series, hundreds of educational focused, foundational and advanced community live streams. And if you're not a part of our community, please do that now. Go into community-forums.domo.com and sign up, because we have lots of events that we'll be posting there, as well as on our events page, so that you can take a look at these live streams. Before anyone asks, all of these sessions are recorded, as always, in their entirety to the link that brought you right here. All right, Scott, that's enough of me. Now it's time for you, and appreciate you being here. Scott, our new superstar there, as a sales engineer at Domo, ready to walk us through these self-analytical features on your data warehouse. Thanks again, Scott.
Awesome. Thanks, Eddie. Start off, I just want to introduce myself. So I've been at Domo for 3 years now on the pre-sale side. I am Snowflake certified. I've got the SnowPro Core certification, and I'm Databricks certified. So very familiar with the space and the big cloud data warehouses that are out there. At this point, Eddie, can we get my screen shared? Awesome, thank you. And before we jump into things, I just want to clarify that I'm going to try and speak to, in case like there's somebody that doesn't know anything about this space. So if you already know a little bit about it, if you've already talked about Domo on Snowflake or Domo on Databricks with your account team, some of this might feel like a little bit of a rehash, but I'm going to try and speak to people who might not know anything about Domo on top of a cloud data warehouse while trying to still give value to people who may have already heard some of these things before. The two main areas that I want to focus on as far as self-service goes is ease of use and governance. So you're going to see throughout the presentation here, throughout the live stream, I'm going to come back to ease of use and governance, and I'm going to harp on those two things because those are really critical to a self-service analytics architecture, right? So, and maybe I should start off by defining self-service analytics architecture a little bit. So you can have either like a centralized analytics architecture where everything's controlled by an IT team or a data team, or you can have it decentralized where people can self-serve and create their own reporting. And we see the full spectrum here at Domo. So we see people who they want to keep that control, but then they also want to might have like a hybrid between the two. So and throughout the live stream today, I'll talk about how we can kind of meet you where you at and with the architecture that you guys want to follow through with. But essentially the first half is going to be focused on that ease of use, and then the second half is going to be focused on the governance that comes with that and the tools that Domo provides. Because if you're going to turn, you don't want it to just be Lord of the Flies, complete pandemonium with people creating whatever they want. You want to still have some organization and some structure to how you're rolling out reporting that people are going to be making decisions off of. So with that said, I'll jump into this slide here. So you may have seen a version of this before. This is essentially a modern data analytics stack. You're going to have your cloud data warehouse, and as you can see, we connect with Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, Azure, Redshift, Dremio. Like there's a lot of providers out there, and Domo has developed integrations with all of the big players in the space, and those integrations are getting better and better each day. Throughout the presentation, I'm going to be using Snowflake, and that's just because we're furthest along with features as far as Snowflake goes. And then, but that said, BigQuery, Databricks, and all the others, they're rapidly approaching the same level of development as our integration with Snowflake. So people want that single source of truth. They want all their data in one place. And Domo can help get it there. So either whether you're going with Domo or you're creating your own custom pipelines, we can help on that front. So Domo has over 1,000 pre-built connectors that help with that data integration piece to take the data from your different source systems. If you want to run ETL, you can do that on top of your data warehouse, and it is a drag and drop interface. So this is really where Domo shines in the self-service space, is because these connectors are really easy to use. Like you don't have to be super technical. Like all you need are your credentials, and you can set up a lot of these without needing the help of IT or your data team necessarily. We have a drag and drop tool for last mile transformations for business users to self-serve on the data transformation piece. And then obviously Domo is very well known for our dashboards, and ease of use and designing with the business user in mind has been kind of critical since the beginning there. So essentially during this live stream, I'm going to walk through each of these different pieces, starting from the left and kind of working my way over to the right, except for the fact that I've already set up the integration with Snowflake, so I won't be repeating that one per se. So first, I wanted to showcase what it looks like to bring in data that's already in your cloud data warehouse. So you can see we have a number of integrations with this demo environment. I'm going to be using my personal integration here. If this was a customer environment, it probably wouldn't have this many. It may have one or two. The thing about the integrations is that you can set what you want the data caching to look like, and the frequency of how often you want to check for updates in your cloud data warehouse. So if I come to edit this integration and just come to the next screen here, you can see I can configure how often I want to check or do a metadata query in my cloud data warehouse to see if the data is updated, and then if it has, it'll bring it in and cache it here. So you can see that I have it set to both check for data updates and then cache at that 2-hour interval. And that's totally customizable. You can set that to whatever makes the most sense for your business. The only reason that you would have multiple integrations is if you want different caching settings across different data sets that are stored in your cloud data warehouse. So I'm going to come back and just show you how easy it is to bring data in that's already in your cloud data warehouse. So I uploaded a table directly into Snowflake just for the sake of this demonstration. So I'm going to find it here. So you can select the database that you want to bring the data in from, the schema, and then the individual tables that you want to make available in Domo. And so do want to clarify, I'm saying bringing in, but the data is really staying in Snowflake. You're not actually bringing it, you're not actually materializing that within Domo. So it is using Snowflake storage on the access. This is just making it accessible to be used in the ETL or in charts or dashboards. So I can select as many as I want from there, and then once I bring those in, they'll show up here in my data center. So I'll share it with myself here. Or take close into you actually. So there you can see that that data set that I just brought in from that Snowflake environment that was already there. So it's really easy to bring data that's already in your data warehouse. It's really easy to connect to data outside of the warehouse, and I'm going to showcase that using our Salesforce connector. And the reason I want to use the Salesforce connector is because this one really showcases how you can run the gambit. So we have a GUI interface that you can use to select data and different objects from within Salesforce. So if I want to select a specific object here, like opportunities, and then I want to select specific fields, and I'm only going to select a couple of fields because I want this to load in while we're on the call. And if I do like 200 columns, then it's probably going to time out on me. So I'll come in here and I'll hit opportunity ID, and then probably want the account ID. And let's see, let's get this account ID, account owner. Just doing that, and then I'll just bring in those fields for now. But with the Salesforce connector, you also have the option to do like a custom query. If you are more technical, like let's say you're a Salesforce administrator and you want to build a specific query, if you want to bring in a Salesforce report that you've created, so this one might even be more friendly to like a sales rep or somebody who's built a custom report in Salesforce and they just want to bring that in. So Domo can meet you where you're at in terms of your technicality. So whether it's like just selecting the fields you want to bring in through a GUI interface or building your own query, we can meet you there. So from here, you schedule how often you want to update that. And then this is the really cool part, is like you can choose where you want to write that to within Snowflake. So you can choose the schema and name the table. So stream opportunities. So the reason that this is really essential is like if you want to create a place where people can drop these tables and follow a medallion architecture, you can. So if you want, if you have a specific database or schema that you drop your bronze tables into, we can specify to drop this table into that bronze section. And then you'll do, like, following your medallion architecture, as you do transformations on top of it, we can specify to put that into like a silver schema or database, and so on and so forth. So you have complete control. Another thing you could do here is, like, let's say if you do want to truly enable self-service analytics, but you don't want business users to get confused by logging into Snowflake itself or whatever cloud data warehouse you want to choose. What you can do is have an integration that's specific to the department that they're in. So like if you want to give marketing their own little playground, you can have an integration that's specific to marketing, and then they're dropping all of their tables into that marketing spot. You could have one that's specific to finance, and so on and so forth. But really give you that flexibility to put the data where you want to. So very essential when it comes to governing where we're putting these tables as we're creating them in your cloud data warehouse. So as I go and save that, it's going to be running. And while that's running, we'll get on to the next piece, which is more that data transformation. So, and I can pause here for a second. Are there any questions that have come up so far? And feel free to ask questions throughout. I want to make sure that we're providing value throughout the live stream. Okay. So that's this connectors piece, right? Like self-service, bringing in data into your warehouse. And then I'll show you how you can do self-service transformations or last mile transformations on top of that, using our drag and drop interface in Magic ETL. So this is a Magic ETL canvas. As you come in here, I'm actually just gonna use this integration, just mine, because it keeps it pretty simple. So you can see that live stream opportunities table already came in. And I can just drag the tables that I want to do transformations on into here. I'm going to grab a context table and an accounts table here. There we go. And so I actually might join these two first and then join them to opportunities. So we have a lot of different transformations that you can do, and it is a GUI interface again. What I really like about Domo's drag and drop ETL tool is that it's pretty intuitive. So you just connect the tiles here, and then we'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to perform these joins. So essentially what this is doing is it's taking the tiles here and then translating that to SQL, and then we're doing push down SQL on top of Snowflake. So we take that SQL query that this Magic ETL is building and then run it on top of Snowflake compute. So you don't need to know SQL in order to do transformations, and that's what really allows business users to be able to get that value out of the data by being able to perform some of these transformations. So I'm going to join these on account ID, and then it'll recognize that there's some duplicate columns there, so we're going to resolve that by dropping account ID from the one name and then renaming those others. And then I'll just drag this one here and then do the same type of thing where it's joining on account ID here. And you can specify the join type if you want to. You have a lot of flexibility in the types of joins and transformations you're doing. You don't have to do an equi join. You can do a non-equi join. It's a pretty robust transformation tool, really competitive in the market. We got other types of transformations you can do. So if you need to manipulate text, you can do that. Like if you need to find and replace, let's say that in here, in the accounts, I know that, a specific account name is changed and I need to change that name wherever it pops up. I can do that just by selecting the account I want to search for and what I want to replace it with. And I don't have a lot of columns in these three because I just wanted them to load quickly for the purpose of the presentation. But you can get pretty robust with your transformations here. And I do have an example I wanted to show you of one that's been built out. For those of you that may be on the more technical side that do like to write in SQL, we do have SQL transformations as well. So you can use SQL directly to perform your transformation. So we can meet you where you're at. If you want to do these types of transformations, you can. But if otherwise, you can see that we have some SQL transformation tiles, and then we have some of these drag and drop tiles for those transformations. Cool. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to showcase on this. You do have the ability to schedule how often you want these data transformation pipelines to run. So you can either run them on a trigger when the input data sets update, or you could run them on a schedule. And those triggers can get pretty complex. So like that's how you manage the timing of your transformations. But the same way as before, you can choose the where you want these to land. So if I come back over to this one, let's say that I'm done and I want to write the results of this transformation somewhere. I might name this one, opportunity silver. Because I've done some transformations, but maybe it's not to that final stage where I want to get it before I want to do the analytics transformation. Or if it is a gold quality and I know that it's ready to go for visualization, then I could name this gold. If I had a specific schema or database where I wanted to write my gold tables to, I could specify that here. So again, Domo enables you to follow that medallion architecture, which is important to governing, a self-service analytics architecture. So once your data is ready to go, that's when you can start to build visualizations off the top of it. And Domo has some pretty cool tools when it comes to AI to help enable self-service. So we've got this content builder agent that it'll essentially look at the correlations in the data and take a guess at the charts that you might want to build. And so I like to view this as a quick start. So if somebody, because otherwise like our dashboards and our apps, they start off as a blank canvas and you have to build from there. But this can give you a starting point that you can then modify. And it takes like the dashboard development and reduces that time. So instead of taking, a couple of hours to get a skeleton built, you can do it for you in a couple of minutes. And it really enables those non-technical users. So it found 5 categories here, and then it's going to take those and build me between 10 and 20 charts, depending on the types of correlations that it's found. And then from there, I can save those to an app and edit them. And that's where I'll go, because I want to show you how easy it is to build visualizations within Domo. And this tool is a great way to get started. So you can see that it's already producing those charts for these different categories. If I don't like a specific chart, I can deselect that one. I don't have to keep it. So if I can tell that there's one that I don't like I personally don't, I'm not a super big fan of pie charts. I have to be careful saying that because I know there are some people who are fans out there. But if I was using this tool, I might deselect all the pie charts once it's done. So you can see that it generated 44 charts for me here. If I think these two look blank, so I'll just not include those. Like I said, deselect the pie charts because I just personally don't like them. Then I can save those to a dashboard to then begin to edit. So a Domo dashboard or app, this is a good example of what one looks like. So this is what it's saving it to. Dashboards, they do have themes that are custom. So you can control and set the look and feel of an app to match your company's branding. Make it really look like it could be a part of your website. And we do have embedded analytics as well. So you could go down that route of embedding this in your site and then working it from there. So you can see if I click this card, I can edit the styles on it. You can change the background color, the padding, have pretty granular control over what the UI looks like without having to know how to code, right? We're handing all the CSS and HTML for you. You just modify these different sliders to change how the look and feel goes. Let's see if that one finished loading. Okay, it did. So now that I've got this starting point, if I want to modify one of these cards, like this one looks like a pretty good one, I can take it and edit it in Analyzer, which this is what we use for our visualizations to build them. So this tool has definitely been developed with ease of use in mind. So that way you can follow that self-service architecture. We've got our chart types on the right-hand side, so people can first have an idea in their mind of what they want to view, and then select the chart from there. Like if I want to view this data geographically, I can just select, this map here, and then I just need to find the column with the state name. And once I drag that here, then I can see order quantity by state. So definitely looks like Texas, New York, and California have our biggest order quantity for this particular data set. It's another drag and drop interface, so we're just taking the columns from the left-hand side and dragging them to the fields that are required up here. It's pretty easy to learn and to build your different types of charts here. One thing I did want to showcase as far as ease of use that's really popular is our period over period. A lot of people really like how easy it is to come in here, and I just need to find a date field. Yes. I'll go off of the order date and compare one period to the next. So I'll come in here and I'll select the previous year because this data only goes through last year. Graph it by month, and then I will choose year over year as a comparison. I can do month over month. The type of comparison you can do, it's going to be determined by what you're graphing it by. So because I chose month as the granularity, I can either do month or year over year comparisons here. So you can see as simple as that. I can see, for the month of August, how I was doing in 2024 compared to how I was doing in August of 2023. And you can see those metrics and that growth there. So these tools, they help you enable business users to be able to answer their own reporting. So instead of IT or your data team needing to create everything for everyone, they can go for, and it depends on like how centralized and how self-service you want it to be. I've seen some teams where, they'll say, we'll control the data sets and the data pipelines. Like we'll control that piece where you're piping the data into Domo and the frequency and your CDW. And then we'll control how often that's running, and we'll get the data prep for you. We'll do the data transformations. But from there, you guys are going to build your own reports. And with that report builder and analyzer, you can build some pretty custom reports after the data is already prepped. When it comes to ad hoc questions, we have another tool, another AI tool that makes things really easy. So I'm actually just going to start over with this. But if I come in here and I ask, which are my top 10 performing, or we'll do top 5 subcategories. It'll take that natural language question, it'll translate it to SQL and query it against the data set here. So, your user, they may not, your business users, they may not even have to actually build visualizations in order to get the answers to their questions. So you can see it gave me an answer by revenue, sorted. And then it also gave me a chart. And then if I wanted to, and this is just like a question that's pretty basic, but the AI chat, it can actually help you with recommendations too. Let's pick like 3. So I can ask which 3 subcategories should I consider cutting and why? And it's going to build that query for me and answer the question and give me the reasoning behind it, right? And it's a data-driven reasoning based off the data that we have in our data warehouse. Yep. So it chose to use the sales to inventory ratio. And it said that tires and tubes have the lowest sales to inventory ratio. So they're not selling very much. So those are the 3 that it recommends that we get rid of as a result. So here using the AI chat, and this one is powered by Snowflake Cortex. So we have Domo GPT, which is a Domo hosted model. But if you are using Snowflake and you want to use Cortex, or if there's another LLM provider out there that you want to use, you can power like Domo's AI chat through another LLM. So we've got great integrations with different model providers to be able to ask those questions here. But this definitely enables that self-service. It makes it so that instead of people coming to the analytics team or the IT team and breaking them down, like they can focus on strategic projects and use the AI chat to get their basic questions answered. Additionally, data teams and IT teams, they can use the logs from the AI chat to determine, if I have this dashboard or this report that's supposed to be answering these questions, but people keep asking a specific question, then I can modify my report to better answer that question, or it can become like a product roadmap for your reports that you want to build. All right, let me take a look here. Okay. So that was the portion that I wanted to focus on, ease of use. Now I'm going to turn the time over to governance, as long as there aren't any other questions. The biggest piece of governance that I wanted to focus on is that Domo has a sandbox. So you can have a development instance of Domo and a production instance of Domo and follow a content development lifecycle. And what this means from a governance and self-service perspective is that you can turn all of your users loose in your dev environment, where they can build what they want, have less guardrails, like around like the content creation. Like if things get a little bit more cluttered from a report perspective, that's okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep our production instance pristine, and we're only going to allow vetted out reports to make it into production. Because you can force an approval process to get things from your dev environment to your production environment. So here, I created this repository, and I'm going to commit it over here. If I come over here to that same repository in my production environment, and I hit promote, all right. I see. I did that too quick. I need to wait for this commit to finish running. But if I hit promote, it's going to ask me to fill out an approval form. And the approval form that it's going to have me fill out is this one right here, this prod dashboard promotion approval. So, the questions on here are like, has this dashboard been tested through the UAT process? What are the users that tested the dashboard? Who's requesting that this be promoted? And you can also have custom approvers here. Like if I wanted to add another person in here, like Tanner is on the call. So if I wanted to add Tanner Brockbank as an approver, like he needs to be part of that approval chain for something to get from my dev environment to my production environment. I can have it go through as many people as I want to in order to make that happen. I can also customize the questions. Like this is just an example here. If I wanted to add another question that said, who is the audience for this report? Because as a data team, as I'm reviewing these promotion requests, I might give a little bit more scrutiny if this is something that's going to be put in front of the C-suite as opposed to something that's just for like a lower level team. So you can customize the approval process that you want to put in place in order to get content from your dev instance to your production instance. And that's critical for self-service, because then while the data team and the IT team, they might not be building everything, they're vetting the things that people are making decisions off of. So like the business users, they'll spend their time developing most of the report, and then IT will just verify that the calculations are correct, that the numbers look right, that type of thing. So another governance feature that I wanted to touch on is our ability to do row-level permissioning or personalized data permissions. And there's two ways that we can do it. We can either integrate with your CDW, like so for instance with Snowflake, we can do an OAuth integration to essentially take the permissions that are in Snowflake. So if I come over here and I edit that integration that I have built, I have the opportunity to configure OAuth. And that's going to make sure that people are only going to see the data that they have access to in Snowflake. because it's going to force people to authenticate with Snowflake. So that's one option. We have that. We have integrations with Unity Catalog for Databricks. But then on the Domo side, if you don't want to use the Cloud Data Warehouse permissions, we have a way to do governance and permissions from our side as well. So in Domo, there are users, groups, and roles, and you can customize data policies to fit those. You can even do manage attributes. So if you have some sort of single sign-on provider, you can specify which attributes of the Domo user are managed, and then use those in PDP policies. So I'm just going to come over here. I don't know if I think I got owner name in here, but let's see. Yep, account owner. And if I have name as a managed attribute, which it's not out of the box, but you can add it as a managed attribute, then I could say, when this account owner equals the username, that's the data that they're going to be able to see. So the key to a successful self-service analytics architecture is like making sure that things are easy to build out, and then making sure that you have control over who can do what, right? And these data permissions, they help you have that control piece of who can see which data. As far as roles go, so if I come to the admin section, we've got default roles that are available. I think it might be because I started this policy and then it didn't save. So, but if I come to this roles section, we've got our default roles, and then we've got custom roles that you can build out. So in Domo, there are all sorts of grants. So you can really get it to the point where you can create custom roles that are allowed to do specific things. So let's say that you want them to be able to create their own reports, but you don't want them touching the data transformation or the connections. Like you can make a role where they don't have that ability. If you do want them to be able to, you can just get really granular on the level of role that you want to build for them. And this is what allows you to have whatever level of self-service that you want, like where it is, part centralized, but like we have people in each department who can build reports and have been trained on that. Or if we want to like roll it out across the entire company, but we want people to only have access to specific data, then we'll use our permissions to make sure that that's the case. So you have all that control available. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about were just the benefits here. Like self-service, it can free up your IT and data teams. Like instead of focusing on like a backlog of requests that they have, they can focus on strategic initiatives and strategic projects, and let everybody else create their own reports for the questions that they need answers to. Business users, they don't have to wait for somebody to build their report. If they have the access to like the AI chat, and they can just ask a question and it answers it for them, or they can build their own report because of how easy it is within Domo. Self-service architecture increases data usage, data literacy, and analytics adoption, because when people are building their own reports, they're actually invested in those reports because they're building the metrics that they want to see. So there's a lot of benefits from following this type of architecture. I hope that this has been helpful for everybody here. At this point, like that's all I had planned on showing, and I touched on the points that I wanted to. Are there any questions?
Hey, Scott, thanks again for all of this. There are a ton of questions happening in the chat, but again, we have an army of folks that are helping create those. If you have any questions specifically for Scott, they're not being answered in the chat. Happy to kind of walk you through there. It looks like obviously Tanner is Tanner and crew here. Meg is on here as well, helping everybody out in the chat. But if you had a specific question for Scott, please make sure you put that in the chat. We have some extra time here, about 14 minutes, or just show Scott some love. First time on the live stream with our community users and these Domo Solution live streams. Really fantastic stuff. There was one a little bit earlier, which I think they dove into. And Scott here says, you know, good stuff. Thanks for the great demonstration. Obviously, a lot of fun here. Tanner, do you want to spend some moments here on camera here as well as we've wrapped up? We've got some more time. If there's anything specific, happy to bring you on if you'd like. Julie says, way to go, Scott. Love that, obviously. Question here from Mike. Tanner, we're going to bring you on as well. Hey, Scott, was there a shift-click shortcut or something when you selected order date to go into the X-axis? I didn't see you click and drag that. Might want to walk back through that step if possible.
Yeah, so that was a drag and drop. It might have just been latency with our connection, but I did just click it and drag it over to that X-axis spot.
Yeah, it's kind of it's one of those evils of doing something live and on the fly, which is your bandwidth may vary when you're watching some of these live streams. Tyler says, great journey from start to finish. Love, Tyler. You made it look easy. Well done. Mike says, great work. Thanks again.
Thomas quickly has a question that I wanted to address there, Eddie.
Okay.
Thomas, I see your ask here. What you really want to enable is to create data viz over data that is available on the production environment. Absolutely, you can do that. So if you want your users to just be able to build ad hoc off of data that's already been approved and is available in production as is, you can have them build there. And if you want to learn more about Sandbox, we can take this offline as well, but that's definitely possible.
Love that. Thanks for addressing that. Tanner, any parting words as the manager of over sales engineering and Scott's first live stream here before we take off?
No, thanks so much, Scott. I know that was a ton to cover, and I know it can be hard to do a presentation when you're not getting back and forth from people outside of chat. So thanks so much. And again, reach out to your Domo account executive if you have questions, and thank you all.
Really appreciate it. As always, we will be sporadically doing these solutions, live streams. We've got some big things planned with the education team, a brand new series of educational content for beginning users and core foundational stuff in Domo, and some advanced users, some beyond series as well. So really excited about that. And as always, we do the advanced customer enablement live streams that we've been rolling into, and it has just been just a whirlwind here in the community, just providing you a lot of valuable content. Make sure you're a part of the community forums. Make sure you're scheduled to receive those event notifications as we post them, because you'll get all of this great stuff. Remember, the recording is available right here at the exact location that you are watching the live stream. As soon as we're over, you're able to rewatch the live stream. So if you'd like to see Scott do that thing exactly the way you saw it before, go ahead and refresh your page as soon as we hit end here. Thanks, Tanner. Thanks, Scott. Thanks to everyone in the background. Laura, Mega, really appreciate you guys jumping in and helping with all of the questions. Again, so useful and helpful to have a team of people. That's what we do at Domo, right? We're all about people. So we show up, we support our folks, and we make sure that you're supported in your use and success of Domo. Thanks again, everybody. We will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.